We want growers to be successful on their farms, whether that's growing any crop they have or soybeans. It's not something we take lightly, introducing a new crop into different areas of Western Canada. So we spend a lot of time looking at all the environments that we see across the three provinces, and trying to understand, based on all the fundamental factors that we know go into growing a crop, whether that be soil type, whether that's seasonal or periodic accumulations of rain throughout the year, whether that's CHU, whether that's spring or fall frost. Are we going to be successful in the long run based on our climate information? I think when you start to look at some of these maps, that takes the seasonal accumulation. So that's April 1st to September 1st. Across Western Canada, we see a lot of variation. We can see anywhere from as low as 7 inches of seasonal rainfall all the way up to 14 inches. A lot of variation within there. And certainly when you look at that, there's definitely some areas of Western Canada where you probably will not be successful in the long run based on some of this information in growing soybeans. But then again, you start to look at that, and there's a lot of areas that get over 10 plus inches of rain, especially when this falls in an area that has a darker soil texture that can retain that for a longer period of time. That definitely helps a lot. The other factor we like to talk a lot about is August rainfall, how important that factor is in driving that seed and pod retention, increasing seed size. That really influences yield late in the season. We get a lot of growers that say, I think I dry it a little bit more towards the end. And that's true in some cases. August is typically a little drier than June and July, but it's not like we don't get any rain at all. In a lot of cases, we're getting 2 to 2.5 plus inches of rain within August, which is enough to grow a good crop of soybeans. So I think when you look at all this, we spend a lot of time talking about averages, right? What do we get on average? But you ask any grower with any region how often we see average, and that answer could be almost never, right? Weather's variable, go figure, right? So I like to say we should look at a lot at the odds of any given amount of rainfall. So how frequent we might see a drought cycle, 8 inches or less, where we start to see longer periods of dryness throughout that. How often do we get 15, 16 inches plus? So that's when we get a lot of periods of saturation, where soybeans are going to handle that better than almost any other crop that we have out there. So it's really important to have these multiple crops in the rotation to benefit from when it gets too dry, benefit from when it gets too wet, and then all these crops are going to do well when we're somewhere in the middle. I think that growers spend a lot of time looking at what happened last year, especially if we're looking at the past 3 years to make plans on our cropping situation going forward. I think, in 2020 and beyond, I think it really pays for a grower to look back at some of this climate information and say, what does my farm look like in the long run? What can I expect to have on in a long period of time? And build a rotation around that, and that includes multiple crops to benefit from all these really dramatic variations in environment that we see to really stabilize our profits over time.